Good morning, Canada. Good morning, Ben. Good morning, Lance.
Hi.
I hope you guys are not food wasters.
Well, let's see. What are you talking about specifically?
Okay, well, we'll get into it. So it happens all the time, and it's something many of us do without even thinking about it, my friends. You open the fridge, notice you have food that's past the best before date, so you throw it out, right? Or you eat most of your meal, but you stop once you're full. But what happens to the rest of the food on your plate? I hope you don't throw it out, because my grandma would say that's a sin. Well, in today's Your Take, we're looking at food waste and how it's a problem, especially in our country, here in Canada. So Ben and Linz, how do you think Canadians fare on this?
Well, you told us a little bit earlier that we're terrible at it.
We're really bad.
Yeah.
And I gotta wonder if it has something to do with how far away people live from grocery stores, and sometimes they figure once they're there, they gotta stock up on everything.
But I also think we buy in bulk now, right? And so we're buying so much. I'm telling you, like if I go to buy an herb, like let's say I want basil, I have to buy, or dill, I have to buy, I don't want this much, but that's what's being offered to me.
Well, there's many factors that's leading to this, but I want to show you some stats, because there was some research that came out talking about how much the average Canadian kind of weighs. So we know that a recent study found that every Canadian lost or wasted about 400 kilograms of food a year. And guess where most of that happens?
Right
at home.
Yeah.
In the home,
Right at home.
Yeah.
Right? So what are we doing at home that could curb some of this? Because we know hunger across the world is a big issue, right? 1 in 9 people are hungry.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest culprits that this research found was the best before dates and expiration dates. Apparently, Canadians are a little bit confused on what those two things are.
Yeah.
Well, an expiry date that you find on, fresh food, for example, that is something that has to do with the safety of your health. So if that food is going to spoil, that expiry date is to let you know to throw that out so that doesn't affect your health. Exactly.
Yeah.
But best before dates are actually about quality, but
like
not about safety.
Yeah.
It's a suggestion.
It'll be fun.
Exactly.
It just won't be at its best. We can't guarantee it'll be at its best after this date.
I mean, do you
But
guys
it's still
do, like,
edible.
Yeah.
And that's
Still
the most
edible,
important thing. It's still edible. It doesn't mean you actually have to throw it away.
You do the smell test.
I was
with
just
the-
saying,
There you
do the
go.
smell test and the look test, especially when you've got a best before. Even with the expiration, I'm going to say that I still do the sensory testing, right?
Yes,
with
of
like
course.
a yogurt or whatever.
Exactly,
'Cause
and you
you'll
can.
You'll know right away.
But you know what? And it's not just the consumer fault. Sometimes you find these best before dates and they're hard to read. So let's say if you see a 1/3. What does that mean? Is that January 3rd or is that March 1st?
Okay, can we just
Seriously.
pause for a second? Because how many times has this happened just in
Yeah.
general in your life? Because the Americans
You don't
do it one
know.
way.
I know, the
and
Brits,
we
we're
do it-
caught
I
in the
know.
middle, we're in the crossfire, it's
true.
terrible.
And
Yes.
This is the thing. So this is what this research is calling for, that we need to find a system in place where guidelines are set right across the world so people know. In Canada, though, based on what the government has said, it's supposed to go like this. If there's just 2 numbers, it's the month first, the day last. If there are 3 numbers,
Month and year, isn't it?
then it's the year first, then the month, then the day.
Yeah.
Right.
So if there's 3 different
In
categories
Canada,
of numbers,
we
it's
go-
year, month, day.
Yeah, we
and if
go
there are only
small,
2,
big,
then it's month and day.
He's saying year, month, day.
If there are
So you go
3.
with the biggest, then the middle, and then the smallest.
Yeah.
I'm
So
still
here's the
smelling
thing.
it.
The onus is not just on consumers,
Yes.
it's also on retailers and distributors as well.
Yeah.
Why? Because we found that some retailers actually waste about 30% of their food inventory. Some of this is just due to they don't have good inventory control. Now that is changing. Some groceries and grocers are now implementing, more robotics to help with that inventory control. But the other thing is just about packaging smaller items. Families are not as big as they once
That costs
were.
them more money, and that's the reason.
The number of hot dogs you buy does not match the number of buns that you can buy ever.
Right.
Father of the bride.
Right.
Yeah, it happens
Remember that
all the
scene?
time. I'm sorry, something is going to go into the trash.
Right.
We don't have enough hot dogs, we don't have enough buns.
But here's the thing, they know, and they're doing
they do
that
it
on
on purpose.
purpose,
Yes.
because then we have to buy another set of buns.
And then some of the marketing, like the 2-for-1 sales, it kind of entices you to buy more, but you might not need it, and some of that ends up in the waste. So other countries like France, they've taken a different approach in terms of banning grocery stores from throwing out food, making sure that any of the food close to an expiry date
Goes
or
to a
best
second
before date
harvest.
goes toward a food bank or something.
That's
So
great.
Canada, here's a Your Take question. Let's talk about this. Can we? Do you follow food best before dates? Let us know on all our social media platforms. We want to hear from you. Right after the break, we have more news and weather.